I Hate Politics is a podcast about a human activity we love to hate. And this is the I Hate Politics candidate interview with Tiffany Kelly for Mayor of Gaithersburg. I'm Sunil Dasgupta, host of I Hate Politics, a podcast about our neighborhoods, workplaces, schools, and streets, and our local governments as they function in diverse, democratic, and sometimes divided societies. As part of the show, we have conversations with local, state, and sometimes federal candidates. Rather than ask them how they stand on a multitude of issues, these conversations go in depth on a few issues. The city of Gaithersburg in Montgomery County, Maryland, holds its elections not to coincide with state and national polls, and the next election day for the city is November 4th, 2025. Gaithersburg's off-year elections are controversial. The official position is that in the off-year, city residents benefit from being able to focus solely on city issues. But critics point to the very low turnout as evidence for why the system is not working. In 2023, 4,497 votes were cast in a city of 69,000, with nearly 40,000 above the age of 18. Not all of them can vote, of course, but the comparison is still a good measure. Critics say turnout would increase if city elections were held on cycle with state and federal elections, when residents were actually focused on politics. Worth noting, having a Gaithersburg address does not necessarily mean being a resident of the city itself. The address is used outside the city proper. Registered voters in the city automatically receive ballots in the mail. This year, the process started October 3rd. Early voting is this weekend, Sunday, October 26th, at the Activity Center at Borough Park. And in-person voting on Election Day, November 4th, is also at Borough Park. The city allows same-day voter registration when voting in person, but requires ID and the ballots are provisional, which means officials check their voter eligibility during counting. This year, the mayor and 2 city council members are up for re-election. And regrettably, scheduling did not allow us to interview candidates for city council. But we do have the 2 candidates for mayor, incumbent Judd Ashman and challenger Tiffany Kelly. This is my interview with Tiffany Kelly. The accompanying episode, released with this one, features Judd Ashman, who is running against Kelly. Tiffany Kelly happens to be a currently furloughed, longtime federal employee where she has worked as a grants manager. She is a community activist interested in removing systemic barriers, especially for children with disability, but also with experience in providing assistance, sometimes bridging assistance, between those in need and those who give, who she says do not communicate well with each other. She's a facilitator in a learning simulation called Cost of Poverty Experience that brings together the community to build a collaborative approach to poverty reduction. Music for this episode are 2 short original piano compositions from, until recently, Kensington resident Adam Barbrow. If you want to share your music on the show or know someone else who might want to, please email us at producer@ihppod.org. Tiffany Kelly, welcome to I Hate Politics.
I am really happy to be here. And I'm looking at I Hate Politics. Well, yeah, I actually do hate politics. But I absolutely love community and leadership. And so while I hate what I would call politics, I do love to serve. And that is what being an elected leader should be about, not politics. Politics to me is more relationship amongst the people who are elected. That's the part I hate. But I absolutely love to serve the community.
Why would you hate something that you're part of?
When I say I hate politics, it is what it has become, especially in this area. Politics is everything. We can't leave it behind. But I believe that in each area we live in, it's different. There is no hard and fast rule as to what politics even looks like for every community. It's different wherever you go. In Montgomery County, I've never quite seen anything like this machine. It has huge potential to do something different, and it will not unless people like me come in and make it do something different.
What's a good example of where it works?
One effective leader who was controversial, but really made inroads in the groups that I'm concerned about would be Washington, D.C. under Marion Barry. He did deep investment in human beings, especially children.
Do you think Marion Barry hated politics?
That's a good question. I never thought about it. I think he hated what he saw, and that's what made him run to do what he thought was best. I think he hated the current system as it existed, which is why I'm here. I mean, politics is the way to shift a culture in a probably the fastest way possible. But if you come in loving the current system, you're not going to disrupt a thing.
So your argument is if you come in to office instead of some other person, that in and of itself will make the difference. It's not the change in the system. It is a change in the personnel.
Change in the personnel and a change in the system. They go hand in hand.
What you're asking for as in this election or any election is a change of personnel. The systemic change can come follow or not follow. We don't know.
Correct.
But the argument about it is if you elect me, then I will be different from the guy that is there.
Absolutely.
So that's a different claim than a systemic argument. And Marion Barry, in particularly, they needed to win first.
If we had a political system that really worked and listened to more people, you don't necessarily have to win to do that. When you have a resistant leadership that is governing in the same way, with the same perspective, with the same inputs, that is when someone like me has to run.
You are running against an incumbent, Mayor Ashman, who has won several elections now. If you were to ask him, he would say he's coming from community by virtue of the fact that he has won these elections. Everybody that runs makes the claim that they speak for community.
Do they? So, interestingly enough, I don't know that I've necessarily heard that from any of these candidates. Maybe they've said it. I would say that I'm a person that can back it up. I can call 15 families right now. Who are they calling that they've served so well? I've had conversations with supporters, and they will say that they're concerned about certain things. And when I speak to the lack of record of the current leadership about those things they are concerned about, there's silence.
Okay, speak to the record.
And I have a record out of this world in this community and in others. If you don't come in with that perspective of being a servant, of operating from the point of, yes, this is what I'd like to do because this is what I feel we need to do, versus I am in community. I am seeing the cracks that are emerging. I'm seeing how this is going to affect this entire community. That's where the problem starts. When we talk about what's going on within the city of Gaithersburg, the first thing is I've knocked, Sunil, I've probably knocked more doors than anyone ever has in this community. 90% of people don't know there's an election. 50 to 60% don't realize we have a city council and they don't even know the mayor's name. And I'm not talking about poor or wealthy, white or black, young or old. This is across an entire demographic of people within the city. I mean, all demographics. And for me, it speaks to a lack of community engagement. We have something called council in the communities, where the leadership comes out once every 2 years to a community. Once every 2 years. I am knocking at doors of seniors who just don't have enough, who are afraid that they're running out of money. I've had people crying looking at me crying, saying that no one cares about them. I'm looking at people who says, well, I called the city. No one returns my call. I don't know where to go. I'm going to apartment buildings that I wouldn't let my dog live in.
Which apartment buildings?
I'm going to say Hillside Senior Apartments, chronic conditions issues, Gateway Apartments, chronic conditions issues. And these property owners are not cited. Hillside didn't have AC for at least a year. It was in the paper recently. And that is against the law. Why aren't they being cited? Why aren't they being fined? And the fact of the matter is that this place feels like a very developer, property owner friendly community. And people are being left out to suffer. Don't take my word for it. Everything I say, I tell people, let's go see it. Let's go together. And we have laws that are not being enforced. Conversely, if I walk up to you and punch you, I'm going to go to jail. That law is being enforced. But we have a landlord and tenant issue here that is not being enforced. And people are suffering. Children, our elders. I have to go back out to Hillside because they are getting letters that their rent is going up $700 to $1,000. These are seniors who do not have a lot of money while they live with conditions issues. You know, it's a joke.
Do you know how many inspectors the city has?
I've only heard of one.
So do you think it's a staffing issue?
I believe that Gaithersburg is operating in an antiquated way that does not allow for growth based on how much our population has grown, based on the diversity, based on the amount of rental units. It almost feels like we are operating like it's Mayberry. You know how we had Barney Fife, he was the one deputy with the one bullet.
In order to increase staffing, you will need to increase taxes to pay for that staffing. How do you balance the possibility of tax increase with the staffing needs?
Do we really have to increase taxes? Or do we need to look at our current spending, especially discretionary spending, to be sure that it's allocated in the correct way?
Okay, where would you cut?
Unfortunately, I can't say that as a person that's not intimately involved every day. I'm just saying that's the first place we go. We don't automatically go to let's spend more.
Most municipal budgets, 90% goes to salaries. What would you cut?
With an over $100 million budget, we have to examine that with other professionals. That's not up to one person. That's not up to 5 people. I believe that we fall short when we think we know it all. And a lot of times we just don't have the scope of understanding to really see where we can cut or what can go up. So that's not something that I'm prepared to answer without a deep dive with other professionals.
Voters might say, if you haven't done that work, why would I vote for you?
Who has done that work?
If you were to ask the same question of, say, the current mayor or the city council, they would say that they did that work. You may disagree with their conclusions, but that, in fact, they did the work.
They have done something. And I think that it has led to where we are now. They are really functioning on autopilot. They have not aggressively studied this city. They just haven't. They're serving a certain interest. And that interest is primarily development in the name of economic development. There has not been a full and complete study of where the city really is. What is the real state of Gaithersburg? It just does not exist.
Why do you believe what they have done is wrong? You're not presenting a different perspective. You're saying that this needs to be studied. Yes, fine. But this needs to be studied means that they could, in fact, be right, or you could be right. We don't know.
I would say that they're not right because I'm constantly presenting the same issues over and over again. It is the smoke that is indicative of a huge fire that is burning. We have a city with a gigantic amount of unmet need. We have a city in which people are rent burdened. We have a city where they are living with huge conditions issues. We have a population in this city who does the absolute worst within the school district. We have a very narrow scope of who we serve, and that is indicated by who is voting. I have done a breakdown of the voting numbers, and it's the population that is actually not the greatest population in this city. It's mostly homeowners, it's mostly older people, and it's mostly white people. That is whose interests we are serving right now. And I can say that because I'm on the ground with people trying to navigate the system with them. And without me, it almost seems like they would just fall by the wayside. I have a gazillion stories.
Let's start with the rent burden. What percentage of the city is actually rent burden?
Okay, ACS data, about 48% are cost burden.
The definition of burden is 30% of gross income?
Paying more than 30% of the gross income.
What is the median household income? Because we're talking about rent burdens.
It's 107,496.
What is rent like in Gaithersburg right now that is causing this idea of rent burden?
I want to say the average rent is about $2,100 a month.
That would make it $25,000 a year. That is less than 30%.
No, you're looking at this big picture, right? We have some extraordinarily wealthy communities here. Just where I live on my little strip, I have $1 million houses to the left of me. I'm about the middle. We're at about maybe $500,000 right here. Next to me are apartments that are considered low income. We have Crown. They're worth nearly $1 million. I don't know how much Kentlands is worth. We have a lot of high wealth people that offset that. But if you look at the average renter, they are not those people. So if you look at the aggregate number, sure, on paper, it looks great. But when you begin to break it down community by community, that just is not an accurate picture.
Which brings up the question of inequality. Why do you think there is this inequality in the city? And how can you even address it?
This community is quickly becoming more and more elite. And it has never been that. This was a farming community. We are losing valuable people, educators, grocery store workers, restaurant workers. We're losing the people we need to run this community. We have, I think at last count, just over 4,000 small businesses. And I was speaking to one of those businesses. They're having a hard time finding workers. One of the contributing factors is that the people who could afford to live here on that salary are quickly disappearing.
Is the problem the salary, or is the problem the fact that they can't live here?
I say it's both. Then how do you fix that? Well, I'm not certain. But I do know we need deeply affordable housing to accommodate people to work in our businesses, to work at the grocery store, to teach.
How do you make housing affordable?
There's a few things that we should look at. When it comes to down payment assistance, I would hope that the city could enter into more conversations with county and with state folks to see what we can do to get more down payment assistance in here. The price of housing is astronomical here. There is a program called NACA that is extremely helpful when it comes to purchasing homes that we really haven't tapped into. They have a very low interest rate.
Who runs the program, NACA?
NACA is, I can't tell you who actually runs it, but it is a program where you purchase a house for a reduced interest rate. And I believe there's no PMI. When it comes to renting, we are going to have to increase the amount of inclusionary zoning that developers bring in when they build. Right now, I believe it's 15%. It easily needs to go up to 20 to 25%.
So one thing that happens as a consequence of inclusionary zoning and MPDUs is that developers simply cross-subsidize. So if you ask them to do affordable homes to lower the cost on 25% of their units, then they will simply raise the price on the market units to buy that same amount. And if you do that, you're at the same time increasing the market prices while dropping the affordable home prices. Do you think that is advisable in a community where the median household income is $107,000 a year?
If you're looking at a big picture, it sounds like it's good. But when a first-year teacher's making what, $63,000, $65,000? Is that really an accurate picture? We have some very wealthy people here who offset the rest of the folks who don't make a whole lot of money. When we look at our firefighters, when we look at who works for our city, they don't make that kind of money. I don't believe that we should base everything on the median income. I think it's a guide, especially as we look at how we compare with other municipalities, but it is not the only thing that we need to factor in when making decisions like this. We can't. There's too much nuance between the communities who live in the most diverse city in the country. Most diverse, when I hear that, I hear differences. I hear greater needs. I hear more cultural competency, more programs. Diversity in itself is great until you have to navigate it as a leader.
Why is the city so diverse if there is no leadership supporting that diversity?
I'm going to be honest with you. Gaithersburg became diverse because it was affordable. It isn't like people came here and was like, oh, I'm going to move to this place because it's just so diverse.
Now that it is becoming less affordable, is it becoming less diverse?
I cannot give you an accurate answer to that. I do believe that more people, because of the lack of affordability, are coming together and living in the same house. And I know that's happening because I'm knocking at the doors where people are saying that. So it's not becoming less diverse on paper, but there's a cost that people are paying to live here because it's so expensive. But it's getting to a point where I'm thinking that our diversity is going to start to go down. Rockville has gone down.
You have said that Gaithersburg has an outdated and antiquated system of government. What do you mean?
There is no representation for each area in this city. We have an at-large city council. First of all,
do you want districts then?
Absolutely. That is the only way we will get adequate representation for each area in this city. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you have to change the charter, right?
I don't know the last time we did a charter review, but it may be due. It's probably time for us to do a charter review to be sure we have the best charter given the time that we live in and given the city's needs, demographics, and where we need to go.
Do you also want to move as part of that charter review to try to move the election to the regular gubernatorial or presidential cycle rather than the off cycle that Gaithersburg works in? And what is many believe to be a reason why so few people vote in the local elections?
I absolutely believe it needs to change. But I'd like to figure out why it was like that in the first place. Did it serve a purpose? And if that purpose no longer exists, we need to consider making some changes. I believe it does need to be on cycle, which would probably drive more participation. But I don't believe that we start election year with trying to get participation. Engagement of the community needs to be right now, today. We need to be talking to people today.
To the best of my understanding, the reason why Gaithersburg has an off-cycle election is so that that election doesn't get drowned in the din of presidential and gubernatorial elections that happen, so that it stands out as
but it doesn't.
In and of itself.
But it doesn't. The numbers say it. We have 43,000 registered voters. I think the last number was. Maybe 4 to 5,000 of them vote. Maybe. So it's not. I have to wonder if it's intentional to keep it the way it is, so it doesn't get the level of attention that it deserves, because that keeps a very specific power dynamic in place. Again, I've probably knocked on more doors than anyone ever has. I'm telling you the story that's at the doors. And the fact of the matter is people don't know. It's kept very quiet here. I've probably brought more attention to the elections than any candidate in Gaithersburg history. So is that really the case? Is it really so it's not drowned out? Or it's so that it doesn't get attention, more people don't vote, and the power dynamic stays the same? I don't believe that.
Why do you think certain things get more attention than others? I mean, from my perspective, in a democracy, and Gaithersburg is one, and I think you think it's not perfect, and I don't know any perfect democracy in any case, but in a democracy, government focuses on things people believe are important. The people that vote, the people that come out, the people that protest, the people that write letters, the people that contribute, the people that organize get what they want. So the question really is about organizing the people rather than fixing the government in a sense. What do you think about how you want to do that? Because as a mayor, you're the establishment then. And then people are going to go, oh, the mayor's not doing this, the mayor's not doing that.
So, what's interesting about that, I saw the potential for that organizing. But do you know who it came from? And this group is routinely ignored. It came from our youth. They are next. This is going to be their world. They're going to support us. And we need to look at them as the advocates and the experts that they are. And we're not doing that. That's just one group. But in this area, we will debate and study things. And I don't know. Just get in there and start working. Get in there and start pedaling. Get in there and do something. You won't know if it works until you start. Get started. Shut up. Let's work. And that's what I do. And that has worked for me time and time again, even getting a law passed because someone said, you don't do that by yourself. Well, guess what? I didn't know that. And I got the law passed. Let's get to work. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Let's work. We will study things to death because we are the smartest people in the room. And I am tired of it. We're either going to do it or not. And guess what? We're going to make mistakes along the way. And we'll learn and we'll keep pushing. But I'm not going to study something to death and not take action. That's not how I'm built. And I'm going to be true to myself. We are going to work.
I'm not sure the contrast between study something and doing something is as stark as you make it out to be.
Here, we will study it to death. Sunil, if I hear one more time, I need to see the data. We got the data.
But you were talking about seeing the data not 5 minutes ago.
No, I was talking about let's look at what we have to be sure it's effective. These leaders will default to data every time. Sunil, we have studied things in this area to death and not moved on them. I don't want to hear it. Let's get to work. You got the data. It's there. Now let's serve from the data. You will see what we need to do by looking at our data we already have. They're requesting data we already have. That's what I'm saying. Stop it. Let's work. You got the data. I promise you we got it. Now let's get to work, guys. And if it's not perfect, we'll tweak it until it is perfect. It won't be today. It could take 20 years, but we must start when we have a system clearly that is serving very few people. There are too many people falling by the wayside. It's costing us too much money to meet basic needs when in this county we have everything we need. MCPS has every program under the sun to be sure children graduate ready to do anything except work a minimum wage job, but the children who need it most are not accessing it.
Why not run for the Board of Education?
The Board of Education is not, I'll say it differently. Board of Education scope is so wide and so broad. I do not believe that I can make a significant impact to shifting their agenda because there are so many people that have to agree what that agenda is. The mayor sets the agenda. We have an opportunity in Gaithersburg that does not exist in many places. This is the place where I can make the impact and show the rest of this very diverse county how we can approach this differently. This is the seat that can change how we do governance in Montgomery County.
Tiffany Kelly, good luck in the campaign.
I thank you, sir.
That's Tiffany Kelly, who is challenging Judd Ashman to be the new mayor of the city of Gaithersburg, speaking on the gaps in services in the city. You can find more about Kelly at tiffanyisrunning.com. Judd Ashman's interview with me is also out alongside this interview. Please look at our library. Music for this episode comes from once Kensington resident Adam Barbrau. If you want to share your music on the show or know someone else who might want to, please email us at producer@ihppod.org. I hope you will listen, like, and share the show as we bring you stories about politics close to you and to your home. See you next time.